second by Dennis. And it is, what time is it? 5:10.
Down there somewhere.
5:10 p.m.
Okay, what time?
He's got some people coming in,
Okay.
so it'll be just a few
What
minutes.
time we
That's
open up?
What time?
5:10.
5:10.
5:10.
Okay, I made the motion.
Dennis made the second.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll call that 5-0.
You want to put flag?
Yeah, we already did that.
Trevor, Mark, and Randy are going to join us by phone,
Unless they have.
so I've got them on the line.
All right, we'll be right with.
You didn't bring the goat down?
He's asleep underneath my desk. I told TJ and George, I said, guys, if
Do you
you open up my
seriously
room.
Does he seriously have a coat up there?
He's got goat.
A baby?
He's got pigs.
I know, I need 2 piglets. We were just.
I'll
talking
get you
about
some
Not
Saturday.
real.
that. I just need,
It looks
Is this where you
I know.
easy, quickly, and more hygienic.
Nine.
checking it out.
Can somebody take my pictures? So we put it
Allergies and stuff forever.
out? Be okay here now.
Yeah,
Okay.
get
Roberta, will you take a picture and make sure you get me in it? I need to set up the Hatfields. Not Joetta.
Everybody. Oh,
Act like you're looking.
really, Wade?
Smile,
Jeez.
smile.
smile.
Are we waiting on a flag?
That's a good picture.
That computer's not doing what he wants it to do. He went to go get another one.
We should be fine. We did the,
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
We're
we
not
just-
doing it. Okay.
yeah, we should just be, unless they have somebody who wants to,
No, we don't.
okay.
We just had one. Oh, okay.
He was watching Sean's interview.
One
He was
R
on
O T C. Looked very nice.
That's a big win. They
Hmm.
beat the
That's a big statement. All the ROTC.
We will send him in Frankfurt later tonight at 7.
and
Fast
Sean
computer
was-
says it's going to send them.
Yes, on Friday.
Trevor, what were the roads like coming in this morning?
Oh, terrible.
A little dicey?
Dicey. They were, and I think it got a little bit worse from the time that Roberta and I came in till the time that some staff came in. We had a counselor, she got here a little bit late. She said, when I turned on Knox Creek, to turn on
Yeah.
Knox Creek on 75, she said, I just
Slid right across. That was where, that was what was weird. It
So,
came, it was like spots there.
Yeah.
I come halfway down the road and it was fine. And then all of a sudden it would just be a,
There's
Sheet of
all
ice.
those trees and stuff, it's shaded.
Yeah.
Not-
So, we will just go ahead and get started. I had the gentleman who was coming he was going to lead us in the pledge, but he's our student representative on LSIC. I first just want to welcome you guys. Thank you for coming. I know it's not as nice a day as we thought
Turned out to be.
hoped
It's all
it
right.
would be for St. Patrick's Day, but I didn't know if you wanted to start them off, sir, with the.
Well, we opened up the meeting down at Crum, so
Okay.
we've already done it.
So we're good.
We're good. If you,
Okay. All right, we just want to welcome you guys here again. Thank you for coming. I've tried to do with this presentation a little bit different than in previous years. I took the questions that you wanted us to answer and just tried to incorporate them into the presentation, just to make it a little more efficient and streamlined.
sure.
All right, so our team members, just again, it's me, there's Ms. Holland, our service personnel representative is one of our aides here, April Spalding. Sherry Martin is our math department chair. Michaela Gilbertson is the faculty senate president. We've got Wade Cyrus, our agriculture teacher, and one of the CTE representatives, our parent liaison, it's Karen Toney. And then Angela Benson, our social worker, and then Damian Toney is our student representative. So just a little background kind of information. Our current enrollment is 310. We currently have 35.
Hello.
Yes, thank you. 35 professional staff, 3 English teachers currently, 3 math, 2 science, 3.5 social studies, 1 that was option pathway, there were 5 special ed, 4 that are either doing co-teach or they're doing pull-out services. We then have the 1 position that we use for the 1% room, and that's where we do have the, you'll see two of our aides are there. In the arts, we have 2.5 positions. We have, our art teacher, Stacy Hodge, our choir, Michaela Goverson, who's our faculty senate president, and then we split the band music position with Fort Gay, and that's Nicholas Bragg. We then also, we have 8 CPE programs. Currently, there's advanced manufacturing, agriculture, carpentry, JROTC, welding, therapeutic services, broadcasting, and ProStart. Our Spanish is a half-time position. We do have, so our Spanish class numbers are kind of small, but we do like to keep that as an offering. But what's interesting is with Herd Academy being offered, I've got a couple students that are taking a French class. I've got a student who's taking German through that, which is a really nice thing. That's an opportunity that they otherwise wouldn't get. 1 health and PE teachers, 2 administrators, 1 school counselor, a community and schools position, our TIS position with the 4 aides. Like I said, 2 are in the 1%, and then we have 2 students that require an aid with them that are not necessarily severe or profound as to that they cannot function within the regular curriculum. And then we have our 2 secretaries. Now for the next school year, we will be losing 1 social studies position, 1 English position, 2 CTE programs, and a half option pathway as we're moving forward due to declining student population. When we look at our absenteeism, our chronic absenteeism, we've done a lot of work on this. As you can see, in 2022 and 2023, we were at just over 57%. 23-24, we had a good drop down to 50%, and then it kind of stayed stagnant last year. At this point to date this year, we have that chronic absentee number down to 37.9, which is still high, when you look across, but it is moving in the right direction. I think part of that is really taking the time to educate parents about and guardians about what chronic absenteeism is, so that that they understand that it's even if I'm using parent notes for an excuse, that student's still losing instructional time here in the building. Attendance interventions. We use our broadcasting programs to create public service announcements about attendance that we then air through our school Facebook page, as well as the Glen Hayes Entertainment Facebook page.
And WFGH.
I'm sorry?
WFGH.
And WFGH, correct, yeah. We also have weekly student attendance team meetings in which I sit down, it's myself, the community and schools representative, the social worker, and we look at, who's high on our list, right? What have we done? Where are we standing in our procedures and policy standpoint? Have we had, have we made contact with them? And if we make contact with them, then each week, I pick out 5, or Angela says, here would be 5 good people for you to call, that it may be good for them to hear from you, to hear from a different voice, to talk to them about why are their students not in school, et cetera. We, community schools, Bo Miller does a great job with with providing resources, whether it's clothing, whether it is basic needs, toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, soap, providing, if a student, we've had a student recently who their water was off for a significant time. So, they showered here at school. Just being in touch with them and developing that relationship is what he does really well, so that they're comfortable enough to share that information with him. We do attendance recognitions at the end of each marking period for perfect attendance, and started off the bigger group, but it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So we've also then started doing some raffle drawings, on days that we need students here. For instance, today we because of the number of groupings that we had with our freshman group, we gave our PSAT 9 today. So we had, every student that was here, they got a raffle ticket. We had some prizes from some Walmart gift cards that were donated. Things as simple as a soda that they may have down in the Pro Start program that Tara has for an event. We're bringing in we're going to take a decent chunk of money and buy several cases of water and keep them cold. And then, if you're here all 5 days in a week, here's a ticket for a water. And it's amazing what kids will do for a bottle of water.
Right. Just to win something.
Lunch raffles, raffle rewards, again, the attendance calls. We'll have student conferences, to talk to the students, to find out from their perspective what's going on. Is it a problem at school? Is it something at home? Is it, something that's out that they feel is out of our control, but maybe we have a resource in which we can either help with or connect them with. We then do parent conferences as well, and we'll bring the student back in with the parent. Kind of talk to the parent first, and then bring the student back in as well. And then again, we do the 10-day letters, and then the truancy procedures. When unfortunately it gets necessary. Our enrollment trends, like a lot of schools in the county, but particularly I think it hits us a little harder here in the southern end of the county. The 22-23, we're at 359. And I had a hard time finding this information, so I actually, I want to say cheated, but I don't really think it's cheated. I went back to my previous, LSIC, so it's pretty accurate for this point of the year and the previous years. Then we had dropped to 348. Last year we were at 331, and this year, as of yesterday, we were at 310.
And then I think you have a small 8th grade class coming in.
And we have a small 8th grade class coming in. We have 43 coming from Fort Gay, and I think 16 coming from Crum. We went last week just to visit the middle schools and really meet with the 8th graders to just talk to them about high school and what we have to offer to, really trying to keep our kids continuing to come to us.
Right.
That is, high school's not scary,
Right.
So this, it's pretty busy, but I'll explain it to you. So this is our, the top 3 lines are the reading of the PSAT 9, 10, and then the SAT. The bottom 3 are the math of those 3 assessments. And then your columns are 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, and then last year, okay? So we're going to do a couple different things with this in the way we look at it. If we go straight across the top, you can see the English for the PSAT 9, it's pretty much been in the same neighborhood. We've had one year we may go up a couple percentage points and then come back down the next year. but it stays pretty stagnant there. So, and that's really been the trend with all three examinations, or assessments in English. So, we were looking at taking that data and instead of just comparing it, the tests from year to year to year to year, the colored diagonal groupings are the same group of students from 9th grade. So if you look at the yellow, from 9th grade, 10th grade to the SAT. The green from 9th grade, 10th grade to the SAT. The blue from the 9th grade to the 10th grade. And then the same down here with the math. So if you look, there is, we dropped with from our group that's 10th grade last, hold on, let me get that. Our 2023 ninth graders, from the PSAT 9, they dropped into 10. We've had encouraging results whenever they take the SAT. We're doing some things differently, a lot more collaboration with our PLCs, bringing in the resources that we have here within the county and making sure we're fully taking advantage of those to help improve instruction, improve engagement, and not just student engagement, not just giving them something and students complying, but are they mentally engaged? And then we have the same, if you look, so generally, except for that one anomaly, the trend is going up. The one that I'm really proud of in particular is the group that took the SAT last year. Okay, if you look, they were at 17% on the 9, and then don't know what happened precisely with them on the 10, but they dropped to 7%. And then they rose when they took the SAT, which is, where our bread's really buttered, 11 percentage points in proficiency. So we were excited by that. So any questions there? Okay. I want to move on and next look at our benchmark that we take. And it's new for everyone this year. We piloted it with the juniors last year. So I just put the fall and winter data in there, but this is the progress learning. And the progress learning, I'm sure you've heard about, but it is fashioned like the SAT, the same number of questions in each module. 2 modules for reading, 2 modules for math, times, it's very, very similar.
So you hear us talk about benchmark data. The state has a system for grades 3 through 8 that we use to obtain benchmark data. The state does not have a system for the high schools. So last year we did a trial run with this progress learning, and it's related to the SAT.
Right.
And the schools reported back favorably that it was helpful. So now we have this tracking mechanism so we can look at data at the high school
And it
level
really,
as well.
one of the things they really do that's nice is you can go in when you get your data and you can look at specific standards and how students did in practicing that standard. And it really helps when collaboration's going on in PLCs.
Right.
It helps to identify, okay, this is our area of need, and then to have the conversations when I'm looking at your class compared to my class, even though they're different grade levels, your group did better. What did you do? What may have been different as far as when looking at our instructional strategies? So if we look across though, I was really excited about this day. The first column is fall, then winter, and then we have our change. So we grew 1% for English 9. But if you look at our English 9 math, all right, because these are broken out by grade level, there was a growth of 18% of students that met benchmark from fall to winter. English PSAT 10, a 28 percentage point growth. We had a drop in our 10th grade math, but we had, our instructor there is very rich in content knowledge. He is new. He was one of the clinical teachers from Marshall University, so he didn't really get to even graduate until December, right? And so but he's kind of, Kelly Arthur's been working with him. He's eager, he wants to learn, he wants to do well. He's not, a lot of new teachers home communication is something that's scary to them. We get, Ms. Holland can attest, we get parents that'll call and they'll be like, I haven't heard anything from the school, except from that Mr. Wordhammer. He calls all the time.
He calls if they have missing work, he calls if there's an issue in the classroom, he doesn't mind that at all. He's building those relationships.
Yes, he is certainly developing into a strong teacher.
Yeah. And then we look at the SAT. You had a 3% growth, actually that's a 3% decline that we looked at when we had our data meeting and we talked about.
Right.
But it is in the English, but we have a 10% gain in the math. So one of the things when I came back from that meeting, particularly looking at the SAT with the English, and I looked at, I've got Teresa Muncie's fabulous veteran teacher, teaches the juniors in AP language, all right? Noah Copley does a fabulous job. He also teaches creative writing. When we go in that classroom, students are moving every 10 minutes or so to a different activity, keeps that engagement up. And so we really then tried to look into the data, like what were we missing? And trying to target that between when this assessment was given, which this was given right after Christmas.
I think so.
Yeah, shortly after Christmas to, we take the SAT on April 16th. Any questions there?
And that English at the 11th grade level was a consistent issue that we identified at the high schools. So we've had discussions, I know with Spring Valley, I'm not sure, I can't remember if Wayne was a part of that discussion or not, about, what we need to do to look at that 11th grade performance, because we have some of our strongest teachers in those subjects. So we think it is the SAT doesn't necessarily, it's the instrument that the state has chosen to test, but it's not aligned to our standards. That assessment isn't tied to our standards. They just chose that assessment.
Right.
So we're trying to identify what the gap is there,
Gotcha.
so the students are better prepared for it.
So a big push this year countywide has been collaboration. And here is kind of the things that some of the things we had been doing, some of the things are new to us, but how are we collaborating teacher to teacher, teacher to student, and also how are students collaborating with each other? So we have our PLCs, really being even more focused on data-driven, looking at the instructional techniques like I mentioned earlier, about what are you doing that can help me, what am I doing that can help you, so that it's a true team effort. We're looking at 5 driving questions that we have with our PLCs, that are, first of all, where are we going? What's our end goal, right? Where are we now? So how are we assessing the current learning? How do we move learning forward? So developing and implementing those strategies. Then looking at, okay, what did we learn today? What did we learn from this assessment? How effective, not just what were the student scores, but how effective was my instruction? And then last there is who's benefited and who has not. So examining the outcomes and how do we promote equity in those outcomes. Professional development is another way we collaborate. We do this, we've had a focus on walkthroughs at the building level as well. And we looked at with our teachers and actually had them sort of switch hats and had them look at, some lessons being taught and how would they use the walkthrough tool and assess it. And I'll tell you what, they're pretty tough. Another thing we did is essential outcomes. So we did some PD of that, not just, I've got a standard posted, I've got an I can statement posted, but what do I want students to learn? And do students know that that's what they're supposed to be learning? I think is important. And I think we've seen a rise in that. We were really pleased. We did a round of walkthroughs yesterday. And that was one thing that really stood out was we had a lady from Carnegie here, and she was like, all of those kids knew what they were learning. It wasn't just I'm doing so-and-so or I'm trying to solve for X, but they knew that, what they were learning, that they were solving for the slope or whatever it may be. I've also been looked at effective teaching strategies and what things can we do that affect learning the most. And, the number one thing that we can do is do we believe that our students can achieve? That's the number one factor. And so we looked at that, and that was, I believe it was Hattie, had done some of the research on that and what were we looked at the top 5 things that we can do that are going to promote student achievement. Again, we're committed to walkthroughs and meaningful feedback. It doesn't matter if you do a walkthrough if you're not going to be able to have a conversation and say, hey, what was going on here? This was happening. Can you tell me what happened leading up to that? Can you tell me what was happening following? What are we going to do? So what are you going to do if the kids don't master what you were getting at? What's your next step? So I think that's key. I had a teacher who was new to the building this year, and he said, I've been having walkthroughs for, I think 9 years, he said. And he goes, I think this is the first year I've ever had more than one 10-minute meeting. So, he was appreciative of that. We collaborate on attendance. The social worker, the counselor, community and schools administration. We have been working with some district supports on a climate initiative. So how do we raise our student climate? How do we raise how they feel about Tulsa High School? And how do we raise the community perception, right? And work with Carnegie for the meaningful feedback, and then also, talking about the school pride and talking about, controlling your own narrative, right? Because if you don't write it, someone else will do it for you. All right, so more collaboration. So that was all really professional collaboration there, right? Teacher and student collaboration is as meaningful, I feel like, as anything we do because they've got to be able to work together to get the results that we want. So students play a vital role in the decision making, whether it's through student council. This library, right, was a student council initiative. Teachers and student data conferences. Many times, the teacher will sit down with the student's progress learning and be like, okay, tell me what you see, right? Particularly with our freshmen and sophomore, tell me what you're seeing here. Goal setting, student-led data conferences, student input on rubrics. So we had earlier in the fall, Jennifer Jude is one of our science teachers. She had these students doing, like they'd gone out and they'd done a biology project and collected, certain examples of things like from outside of school and brought back in, and then they were presenting on them. And so when they're presenting, right, what's the rest of the class doing? They're the best. We're trying to pay attention, right? But a lot of times too, when you have student presentations, and they're not always used to presentations, they're talking softly, they're nervous, they're maybe talking too fast. So I spoke with her about that. What can students do? So we started having for group projects that there are student rubrics that they're completing, right? And then she will then use our previous PD from 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, Teach Like a Champion, and then cold call. Okay, you tell us what your feedback was for this group. So that also helps keep them engaged. And so they're it gives them a little more buy-in. And they also then want to do a better job because they also realize that, like, my friends are going to judge me. So we have then student collaboration, like I just mentioned that whole story. And then we've been working on building thinking classrooms, the model of instruction in which students start off the period and they're working on a scenario or something together first, and the teacher's sort of taking a back role and kind of going around and then maybe asking clarifying some questions or some questions that are getting them to dig deeper. Any questions about collaboration? Okay. I'm turning this over to Ms. Hall. This is our discipline information.
If I can see it. Okay, so we've got last year's, and you may remember we talked about the discipline matrix that we implemented last year. The teachers had come the summer before, with no prospect of extra pay or anything, and set up, this is just a level 1 offense, what we feel, and went on through the steps, and what the discipline should be for that. And as you can see, overall referrals, this is for the whole year. Last year, there were over 1,200. And they range for everything from disruption to skipping to fights, those types of things. And at this point right now, as of yesterday, we had 482. So there's a massive difference there. The main reason for that, for our overall total, is that last year was our transition year with that discipline matrix. More of the teachers have bought in. They're willing to call home now, more of them, and talk to parents and say, hey, this is what's going on in my classroom. And so it's curbed a lot of those behaviors, I think. And I think that there's more of a relationship building, because when they get sent to us 9 times out of 10, especially if it's a classroom issue, we're like, you need to go talk to your teacher. We need to fix it in the classroom, and then we'll talk about detention or whatever. So I think that's also helped. In-school suspensions, as of right now, we have 38, so we're kind of on the same track here, but we try to keep the kids here as much as possible because we don't want them out of the building because of our attendance issues. We really try to curb that. This year we've had, that was last year, so this is 22 right now, so we're kind of on the same track. But the out-of-school suspensions, that's far less. So that's how many incidents we've had. We've only had 2 fights, 3 fights.
Yeah, I mean,
All
a
year.
handful of those.
But I think part of the reason too, that a lot of this has been curbed is the engagement. That collaboration that our teachers are doing, and they're keeping the kids engaged in class, they're wanting to be in class, they want to learn, and they're too busy to get into the meanness that normally would result in 1,200 write-ups. But the out-of-school suspension, a lot of that too has to go to the fact that we've had some teachers now that have volunteered to do detention during lunch, and both of us can be in the commons area. Because he can't obviously go into the girls' bathroom, and I can't go into the boys, so as long as you're circulating, that cuts down a lot of our behavior issues that we used to have during lunch. So I think we're on the right track here. This is a good trajectory, and I just hope it keeps improving. I'd like to have it at 0. I don't see that happening.
It's interesting because she mentioned about the engagement. So one of the things I'll talk about a little bit is our big brothers and big sisters. And some of the seniors went to Michaela Gilbertson, who runs that program, and they said, is there any way we can leave after 3rd period? And she's like, okay. I mean, we're just going to Dunlow, so that's possible. And they're like, Mr. Copley, if we miss, we're behind. And if we get behind, it's hard to get caught back up.
Yes.
So,
So yeah, I really think, and we've had like, we're doing the Green Dot Challenge, which is the progress learning. And so there's a challenge too that the kids want to be there to work on, because progress learning is a wonderful tool. Not only do you do the benchmark, but it will break down each individual student and tell you what type of questions they missed, so that you can actually assign things in progress learning for them to work on. And once they master that, they get a green dot. So there are going to be some rewards and incentives for that sort of thing too. So that's really been a big push, and I think that's helped a lot with our discipline.
all right, so next we're going to talk about supports from the board. One thing is we would like to see you more. You know, and it's not like we would just like to see you at more, like I know a lot of times we'll have board members at the plays, but you know, come to sporting events, just come to school and just see what's going on a day-to-day basis. You know, we've been more regular, the county, as far as people that have been getting out for our walkthroughs, which has been, you know, that's been a real push that, you know, Mr. Alexander has kind of initiated as an instructional leader. Another thing that's happened is so we have a school resource officer, but this year it was like the first person we had ended up going to night shifts because it was more money. Then the other guy we had ended up getting pulled by the National Guard, so we have somebody who started yesterday. So hopefully that's fixed. And he was, what's his name, Brian?
I don't remember.
Brian Blower. Anyway, he graduated from Wayne. He's a young guy. But what I was impressed with is that, you know, he was out, like his first day, hadn't even come in, but he was out here with his lights on at 7:30. And he's like, what time should I be here? And I was like, that's perfect. So, you know, another thing we would like to continue is we both have found a lot of value. Something that was an initiative from, I don't know if it's Mr. Alexander or Greg or John or who, but we've had like principal and assistant principals PLCs, which gives us a chance to really, because a lot of times we'll have a principal meeting and it's an umbrella of a big idea and how's that apply to you, but the chance to be able to talk as a colleague with a designated time about a guided conversation. But how do you do it at Spring Valley, John? How do you do it at Wayne, Joni? How does Kim do it at Vincent? And then we just want to have our continued support of our CTE programs, and that is kind of a segue into you know, we want to first be thankful, right, of our facility improvements that are really have come over the past 3 years. Like I came, as far as facility wise goes, at the perfect time to come to Tulsa High School. Like we've done so many amazing things, and it's through the support of the board in which that's been able to be done. You know, we've had our commons area restrooms remodeled, right? New floor down in there. Had some, you know, stall doors remade and heavy duty repaired, painted in, you know, our school colors with the trim and stuff. The kids they are like, man, this floor is really nice when they'll go in. So, and for a high schooler to notice that, like the bathroom floors, that's kind of saying something. Our auxiliary gym, that has been amazing. It allows us to, for one thing, on the day-to-day basis, as far as gym class, that's your biggest wear and tear on your gymnasium and your gymnasium floor, right? Our gym floor was, you know, every other year we get it resurfaced, right? It looks almost as good now as it did when we had it done in November, right? Because it doesn't have that daily wear on it. Painting the gymnasium has been about 3 years ago now in the summer, but it's really nice. It's bright. That just completely freshened up the whole place and gave us a chance to take some older things down and, move some retired jerseys to where they were in the gym and just kind of organize things a little bit better.
There's no LED lights in there, isn't there?
I think they are LED.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do have a cover on, but the ones in the bathroom did not, but it was because of the type of bulb that was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But that helps with the brightness in there. The barn is completely finished now. Most all stalls are full, right, Mr. Cyrus? The library we remodeled, we've spoken about it. New windows throughout the main building. The new HVAC, which we're still kind of working through some bugs on those, but I trust that they've got to, they are new and newer is usually better, right? So, but those are things that have just happened in the past 3 years, right? So it was a very exciting time. Prior to that, new pavement all the way around the school. It's just a fun time and a good time to be here. As far as some needs, now, we're always nothing's ever going to be perfect, right? But one of the things that we noticed, and Mr. Alexander pointed it out Friday, but I had never, unless I'd stuck my head in, looking for a kid in the CTE restrooms, I hadn't actually been in and looked in the stall. And it's, it's just very dated. The floor needs to be redone. It needs new
Everything.
New everything. Yeah. That's something that we need. One thing that's been really great as far as safety in particular goes is this year we've had keypads in which we get a 4-digit code daily, and we announce that code. The students know the code, but it changes daily. One of our biggest challenges here was somebody taking a gravel and putting it down at the door so the door was propped. And I don't blame them, right? I mean, especially this time of year. I mean, or, the way the weather was today, but they've got a keypad code where they can enter the code and enter the main academic doors down here on the front and the CTE. The only thing we would like to have is we'd like to have one for the back, in particular by the music and band area. Another thing that we like, it seems like it's something small, but we have all these, and I didn't even mention them. I don't know, when we were talking about previously, we have the new cameras, right? And the new camera system, right? One of the places where that usually that we would like to see that we can't see is a camera that's outside the commons area restrooms. And then there are some tiles that are starting to break that we looked at on our facility walkthrough on Friday. Really the bases of the stairwells, and then a few areas here and there where the tiles are just worn and they're starting to crack at the joint, and we would like to get those replaced. We would like to have the academic wing interior painted. We have some paint that's starting to peel there, some just dirt from hands and those sort of things that over the years kind of being on there. The back door and we looked at this again Friday, but I just thought I would mention it. The back door that goes out to the music and band, right? There was an issue that it doesn't really do it anymore now, so whatever it was has been fixed. But when it rained really hard, the gutter would overflow, and then that water would run in on those doors that are leading out there. Well, after years of that happening, the frames along the bottom have really started to rust out. And then, pie in the sky, we've got new intercom systems, which are great and work wonderful in the gym and the commons area, in the classrooms, but we really can't hear them in the hallways. So we're needy. Any questions, comments, concerns about that? So we have a lot of successes that we're proud of, and a lot of things that go on beyond athletics and extracurriculars. Our JROTC Raider team was the state runner-up this year, and we're very proud of that. The Wayne County Young Riders, we had 2 second-place finishes, one by Hunter Fitch for 11th and 12th, and then Destiny Smith.
Let me mention on the Raider team, they compete against schools of all sizes.
Oh, yeah. So there's not like, it's not like you're single A or single A, double A or whatever. They're competing against, what would you say, guys? You guys are both in Raider. What are some of the bigger schools you compete against?
Riverside, Huntington High, Capital, all of those. Lincoln County.
Second though, they beat our boys by just a few seconds.
I mean, it was just a little bit, yeah. I mean, it was close. It was like 1 point or something like that. I mean, it was.
Yeah, Lincoln County was really big too.
So our band is small, right? But numbers are growing, but it is mighty. Look at, we have 4 band members that are representing Tulsa High School in the all-area band. We have 3 additional students that are part of the WVU honor band. Carly Bryant this fall became the first student from Tulsa High School to ever compete in the cross-country state championships that was held at Capital Midland. Our regional math field day participants, Ryland Carey and Steeler Salmons. We had first place social studies fair winners with Greenlee Vance and Carly Johnson. And now something that I'm really excited for you guys to hear is Chance Markham is our outgoing, what's your officer title? Battalion commander. And he's got a really amazing story speech for us that really kind of knocked our socks off this weekend. And I was like, I would love for the board members to hear it. So I, had him, he was supposed to work tonight, but they let him off so that he could come, and I'm really excited for you guys to meet and hear about Chance.
How's it going, everybody? It's nice to meet you. Lieutenant Colonel Chance Markham. I'm formerly the battalion commander for the Tulsa High School Road Battalion JRTC. I actually gave a speech at our military ball Saturday as the outgoing battalion commander, and Mr. Alexander and Mr. Little, I guess they're thoroughly impressed with it, and I appreciate that. I appreciate coming here today. I really appreciate the opportunity and the time given to me. So, started here. I'll give you some background on myself. So, I apologize. To get started, I'm actually gonna go ahead and thank God here for my being here, us being here. Just, that's the driving factor. Without Him, I would not be here. So I just want to thank God first and foremost. But gonna give you some background on me here. When I was 14 years old and around 2022, I was a very overweight kid. I weighed 280 pounds, and as a 280-pound kid, I was a run-of-the-mill fat kid growing up in school. Got made fun of by a lot of kids because of the way I looked. Couldn't keep up. We played sports. I breathed differently. I sweat more. I ate more, and it was because of how I looked. And I was just sick of being in that state. And this is not how I can move forward. I had to change something about myself to move forward and to be happy and to prosper. So one day in January, once again I reckon it was 2021 actually when I really was going through it, but 2022 in January, I looked in the mirror and I decided at that moment my life as that fat kid was over. I was sick of having people insult me, and the worst part was I was sick of having those insults being true. So I was tired of looking in the mirror at that disgust, and I was done feeling like I could do nothing about it, because you can do something about it. Just about anything in your life, anything that you don't want to look at can be changed by your hands. Effort, discipline. I set the goal of waking up every morning at 4 a.m. to run and work out. I cut out all sugars, drinks, any unnatural sugars from foods. Cut out a lot of foods. For a long time, I actually quit eating those ramen noodles. Right? Because growing up, I ate a whole bunch of those, a whole lot of those. I love them, but they're terrible for you. Terrible. I would run around so I went to Fort Gay Middle School. I'd run around every day at intramurals, run that football field out there. I'd run around for miles and miles every single day, pack Gatorade, pack water, pack a couple bologna sandwiches. And the thought actually of giving up had seriously occurred to me. It occurred to me multiple times, but every time it occurred to me, I could only think it would feel great to quit right now. Man, I'd love to sit down. Man, I'd love to go get a Mountain Dew. But if I quit, I'm a quitter. I'm stuck there. It's no one else's fault. It's my fault. If you quit, you quit. You got somewhere to go. No one wants to get up at 4 in the morning and run miles. No one wants to get up and take cold showers. But if you did what everyone else wanted to do, how could you be so different? How could you succeed? How could you be unique? So if I quit, I was okay with being a quitter. And you know what? I'm not okay with being a quitter. I'm not okay with losing. I'm not okay with being okay with losing. My freshman year of high school had come sooner than I knew it. And at this time, I had been a more slimmer, athletic person. And I was genuinely a whole new person. I had heard that the JRTC program enforced discipline with challenging activities, and I knew I had to join the program as soon as possible. The JRTC program put me through physically challenging, mentally draining, and judgment testing events. Now I've learned to go past the limits of my mind and work together with my fellow cadets. The JRTC has taught me that it's not just a program, but it is a band of brothers and sisters, and together we become better citizens with respect, duty, and integrity. I've learned what it means to be a leader through the Raider program, being the 18 co-captain this year, and drill competitions, along with the Cadet Leadership Challenge, which is we just go to. Well, Tony, you remember it. You went this year, right? Why don't you tell me how your experience was? JCLC. It was fun, right? Yeah, we go on an Army National Guard base. We spend about a week there, and get up. Some mornings 4, some mornings 5, some mornings 6. If we're lucky. We'll do water survival training. We'll do a rappel tower, which I believe is like 80-foot tower. Get to the top of it. You look down. You look up. I want to call my mom. And you just go down there, rappel. You do it one time, you back up it quicker and you can think about it. The JLab team, actually, a couple years ago, I was on our leadership JLab team, got to compete in Washington, D.C. for our leadership bowl, and that was a really, really, really impressive experience. Considering the fact that most of us guys over here are monsters, and, going to Washington, D.C. is an incredible experience.
Can I interject for just 1 second? JLab is not just our brigade, which has 440-ish JRTCs in it. That is every JRTC everywhere. And so we competed, there were the top 40, and we got 26th overall.
Wow, impressive.
It was a great experience. It really was.
It was a real good experience.
It was awesome. And I'm prepared through all these events and places we've traveled to, and all these learning moments to face any challenge how we're going through my life after I graduate. Before I graduate, I'm prepared to face any of these challenges. And if I don't know what I'm doing, I'll figure it out. I'll find a way. There was a time, actually, speaking of our Raider team, we were competing this year at Lincoln County High School, and we were on a 5K run, right? So 3.2 miles, and we're in second place right behind Riverside High School. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of detail on Riverside. If you've been involved in any of our Raider events or history, Tulsa, Riverside, they're our enemies. We are back and forth, back and forth.
They're frenemies.
We love them. We do. That competition is what strengthens us. Speaking of being the runner-up, 18, we had actually been beating Riverside on many competitions prior to our state championship one. And they had gotten together, right? The instructors at Riverside had gotten together and picked out all these different cadets that worked well in different places just to beat our A team. Because we had beat them so much and so well for the events prior. But due to us having to basically start a new A team this year, we hadn't really done too great on the rate of competitions prior to the Lincoln County one. So us being in second place right behind Riverside was great. That was the best that we had done. And our 18 captain, Cadet Sergeant Major Dylan Cook, sick and beginning to struggle. And it wasn't long until we heard Huntington High School coming up behind us and shout, "On your left, beginning to pass us." So as the 18 co-captain, I faced Dylan, and instead of screaming at him to speed up, I faced him. I said, "Dylan, please don't let them do this." And before you know it, I saw him kick into high gear. You should have heard that boy wheeze and call. But we were back there pushing him. His brothers were behind him. We were going to stay in our place. We weren't falling back. And at the end, I saw him fall to his knees and steam actually roll off of his body because it was like 40 degrees outside. But he was heating up, and it was really an impressive example of discipline and esprit de corps. Esprit de corps is a feeling of pride and unity. And I've become a much more professional and better citizen thanks to JRTC. What I think is even better than being a good citizen is being a better person. Sergeant Major Francis, my Army instructor, once told me, "You are only as good as your last action." It doesn't matter if you do right most of the time. You should do right at every given opportunity and with no want for anything in return. By acting with integrity, you will be rewarded with humility. And that is what matters most of all. I'm very thankful for my instructors at the JRTC, Sergeant Major Francis and Major Francis, and all the role models that I've had for not only teaching me how to be a proper cadet and citizen, but for also setting an exemplary example. When I was a freshman, I had a few role models, and one of them, y'all might remember, was our previous battalion commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Zach Zolia. And I remember him facing me when I was a freshman, saying, "Chance, you're going to be something." The leadership ability that he possessed, combined with this sheer uncanny ability and will to go against the grain until the end, had inspired me to push forward no matter what the obstacle was. It was the challenges that I faced with the sword of perseverance and discipline, combined with the armor of courage and hope, that I'm here today, ready to set a standard. See, Sergeant Major Francis has said plenty of things that have stuck with me and will for the years to come. Something very important I've learned from him is that it is never just about you, but about the people you are ahead of. It is with this duty that I've supported and assisted with the well-being of any and every individual that I can. This is the act of putting yourself before your people, as a leader should do. I've faced many challenges up until now, challenges that tested my physical state, mental well-being, and my soul. But more importantly, these challenges tested my courage that has driven me past the boundaries that many let stop them. It was my courage that pushed me to take freezing cold showers while others enjoyed comforting hot showers. It has always been my courage that made me resilient to adapt to the uncomfortable. It is with that courage that I know I put every bit of spirit into all I can do, whether it is in leading a battalion or if it is in teaching those who look up to me. I once listened to a speech given by Navy SEAL Admiral William H. McRaven. He said, "If you make your bed every morning, you have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another and another. By the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you will never do the big things right. And if by chance you had a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made, and a bed that gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. Through even one of the toughest days of your life, one mundane step can bring you closer to prosperity. I've heard Sergeant Major Francis say, always improve your foxhole. This statement touched me and reminded me of something I used to hear my dad say. Your home is all you have. Without it, you're nothing. With these lessons, I plan to move forward in my life and take care of people while I do it. This year, I've learned much more than I can say I expected. I've worked nearly every day after school and spent many nights coming home late trying to catch up on as much sleep as I can. I still go to the gym multiple times a week, and I still maintain optimal physical fitness. The Bible verse I like is Romans 12:14. Bless those who persecute you. A significant lesson I've learned is to treat everyone with kindness, even if they do not do the same. As the highest ranking officer in my JRTC program, many will follow harsh actions that can only be explained by jealousy. It's much easier to pin the blame of an issue on a face than it is to try and resolve it. The only reason I believe I can explain the purpose of these jealous actions is an unresolved problem with one's heart and self-image. Not one soul is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes that are both small and large. It matters more about how you carry yourself and reflect on how not to make the same mistakes. It pays off much more to laugh it off and continue with a smile than to dwell on it and fall into the depths of questioning your ability. There will be many people on this path that have far more broken roads than you may imagine. They may even try to break your roads, so it seems like theirs is a lot better, or even similar. It is likely that they have never been treated properly, and although their actions are wrong, it is important to treat them with kindness and hope that it will have a significant impact on them. There are a few people in this room tonight this evening, that have watched me grow from a young teenage boy trying to figure out how to take my first steps into growing to an adult taking self-assured strides into the rest of my life. And there have been many that have tested my patience, not in this room, but there have been many in my high school career that have tested my patience, seriously tested my patience. But at this point in time, I'm thankful for that because it's helped me grow into the man I am. It's strengthened me. Strengthened me as a human being, as a leader, strengthened me as a Christian. There are many, many things that happened in my high school career that I just look back and laugh at now, or I'm thankful for. Even with the challenges of life, I've persevered with self-adhered courage. It is a courage that I'll never give in, and even in my weakest moments, I will stay strong and stand tall. It's the backbone to my integrity. I will grow into the man that I'm supposed to be, and be proud to present myself with such honor. I'd like to thank you all for your time and wish you a safe passage home. Thank y'all from the board for coming, and thank you for the impressive work you've done. Thank you, Mr. Little, Ms. Holland. Thank you, Wade, Ms. Tony, Damien. Appreciate my dad coming. Seriously, thank you guys. Thank you for the time. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. And may God bless us. I hope y'all have a safe passage home.
Good job, brother. Good job.
So now you know what I mean.
Impressive.
So I mentioned before about Big Brothers, Big Sisters. That's a very important part of what we do here also. These are just a few snapshots. We have 14 students involved this year in Big Brothers and Big Sisters. They go to demo of next year. They're planning to team up with Crum Pre-K 8 to keep the Tulsa High School Big Brothers Big Sisters tradition. Moving on. Now I've got sort of an exciting, not sort of, but I think what is a really exciting thing to share. We are going to have, thanks to Mr. Wade Cyrus, our first annual auction day in which the proceeds, which is open to the public, and the proceeds will help the Tulsa High School agriculture program. And it's, I mean, we've been hearing a lot of good things about people, word's getting out. People are bringing a lot of different items, not just animals, but equipment and those sorts of things. So, Mr. Cyrus?
Yeah, so, I don't know what Jason Ricketts' actual title is, coach or agriculture mentor, maybe.
Mentor, yeah.
Anyway, he reached out to, Agriculture Commissioner Kent Leonhardt, and a lot of places around the state have equipment auctions, and a lot of them just do donations to the school, and then the school auctions it off, or there's a reserve, and then the person that brings it in, they get everything above this number. And of course, me, I always want to do something different than anyone else. So I wanted to do animals. Our big thing is animals here. So we wanted to sell livestock. And with that, the state makes you have permits and vet on premises and all this stuff. So Jason reached out and he said, as long as all the proceeds go back to the students, he'll give us a one-day pass. So we, I pitched it to Mr. Alexander. He said, pour it on it. So we took off and ran with it. However, we are doing equipment sales as well. So the equipment will be first, and then we'll start with small animal, and then move all the way, and cattle will be the last. We already have consignments of, so we have 5 tractors that have been consigned, several pieces of equipment, 2 livestock trailers, a couple tag-alongs. We got a guy that says he's going to send pictures of a truck, and the school or the agriculture program gets 10% of that.
Wow.
So the one tractor, the reserve on it's $25,000. So if it sells, that's $2,500 off one item. We're going to have concessions, and we're working with the football boosters to do the concessions, so that will also go back into the program. Outside of that, I think that's pretty much the whole
Give them a quick little roll call of who you got out in the barn.
Oh, so, we bought the sawmill, and then we took the trees, milled them, built a barn. The barn was finished right around Christmas. We went to Lee City Stockyard, and we have bought 8 goats, a miniature horse, a rabbit, 14 chickens, and a sheep, and then 4 pigs that we will raise up and butcher toward the end of the school year. We have 2 stalls left, and I'm working with Greg Miller. We would like to do a wool sheep and an alpaca. That way we can shear them and, just teach the kids that there's other marketable options, outside of butchering. And then our end game. So I went to a farm to school meeting with Lisa Thompson at West Edge last Wednesday. There's a big initiative to locally produce meat, vegetables, get them back into the school systems and sell them. However, with the skyrocketed prices of beef, I don't know that it's going to be feasible for the money that we have in ours to sell them back at the lower price that we can afford to pay. But with saying that, we worked with Mr. Alexander, and in the future we would like to do elementary school petting zoo days or field trip days. They're already doing them anyway. Our kids are going to Kentucky. Our kids are going to Ohio and doing Grits Farm or the pumpkin patch at West Liberty. They can come to Tulsa High School, keep that money right here, and have the same experience that they're having elsewhere. That's our goal. That's our end goal.
It's fantastic.
And you should see, his name's Samson.
Samson.
You should see the little ram sheep. Because Wade feeds it with the bottle, so it follows Wade around like he's his mother. He can't get more than this far away from him if he's around. And
he was donated. Levi Napper on White Creek. He had a ewe that had triplets, and she was having trouble taking care of all 3 of them. So he donated it to our program, and
Wow.
Yep.
That's great.
it is. It's not even a week old, is it?
tonight he'll be a week old.
Week old.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. anyway, that's,
That's fantastic, though.
any questions, comments, concerns? I know that time-wise, I feel like when you guys come,
You'd like to get your money's
I
worth.
like to get, I'm
good.
like Jimmy V when he's giving the speech at the ESPYs. He's like, that guy's back there telling me I got 30 seconds. Well, yeah, I'm not listening to him.
Yeah.
Right? I really appreciate you guys coming out. And like I said, we'd love to see you. Even if it's just a regular day at school, see what's going on here.
Right.
Right? With that, anything that you have for me, or, if you think of anything, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Sure. I'm impressed. Got some great things going, some great students here,
And
so,
we're really working on getting that word out,
right.
because there were, if you look this morning, I was putting out some, we have Mount West coming to talk about Jumpstart tomorrow, with our rising juniors and seniors. And so I get on to our Facebook page, and, like, as the administrator, my page pops up first, and I look, and I've got a lady who's a frequent butcherer of decisions that are made, that is mine and Tanya's, like, second cousin. We were all raised together right up on Wall Street.
Right.
And I'm like, you can't win. You can't win.
Yeah.
But we're really working to get our story out, and that is, we're not putting shine on something that shouldn't have shine on it.
Right.
Just telling the truth and about all the great things that we have going on here.
Very good.
Agreed.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got any reports here, Jennifer?
No reports.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to. Johnny, Dennis, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 6:22. 6:22.
Thanks to those that joined us online.
Absolutely.
But it's like starting on the
Mark and Randy, we're finished up.
We go to the store and come back
Remember
from
David
this
Carroll
Raymond
told
James,
me
and it's
sister
clear,
that
all of a sudden it is again.
Is that the Carroll guy that lives on 75?
He died. His son and his widow,
Great to meet you. Great to meet you.
they went 3 or 4 trucks all over the country. You ought to get him. He's not never stay with the coaches. He's got a deal up in, these sheep farmers up in Canada.
Yeah, so I was like,
And he goes around, he's got stock yards. He's a millionaire now, ain't he?
Oh, yeah.